Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you have a bit of a gun tutorial video, if you will, kind of more like gear than gun. I'm going to be talking about marking magazines, how to do it, why to do it, etc. Let's start off with the simple stuff here. I got 4 magazines, and essentially the thing is all my magazines at this point, except for one, are Palmetto State Armory magazines. Now the magazine that I have that's not a Palmetto State Armory mag or a PSA mag, I didn't mark that one because it's different than all the others. So I recommend definitely marking your magazines if they're all the same brand. Now, essentially, all you really need to do, get yourself a paint marker, stickers, whatever, and number the mags. Or put a sticker on there, different stickers for all your different mags. Different color stickers. You could use tape, although I don't recommend tape for this part, and I'll recommend why later. But the reason to do this is so you can identify your different magazines. So that way, if you start having issues, say like here, these are AR mags. If I go loading these AR mags up in my AR and suddenly I'm starting to have problems with my AR, it can help me figure out if the issue is a magazine issue or if it's an issue with my firearm. Because honestly, if I keep loading magazine number 1 into my AR-15 and having problems with it double feeding or not feeding or whatever, but I'm not suffering that problem with these other mags, it's labeled 2, 3, 4, then most likely there's something wrong with this magazine, and I need to pull this magazine out of the stack and figure out what's wrong with this magazine. Could be the spring needs, a little bit of stretching or whatever, or maybe there's something wrong with the feed lips, yada yada yada. Pretty much, etc. Now, why I wouldn't use tape, or why I would use tape to mark magazines. Now, for me in this case, well, let's just stick with the paint marker thing. So if you're going to use paint marker, either use numbers, which is what I did here, or use letters or symbols or squiggly lines, whatever, that you can identify each individual magazine. I use numbers because it's honestly, I think, the best way to do it. Although letters would work probably just as good. The next thing you could do, now, like say if I want to take these mags, say if I was going to go to a competition, my AR-15, one thing I could do is take the mags with a little bit of red tape so I can ID the magazines that are mine. Now, an even better way to do it, since you already got a paint marker, is write your name either across the front, across the back, or even on the bottom of the base plate, or even all 3, for what it matters. Just so that way you know they're your mags. Write your name, initial, whatever. Now, when it comes to tape, and this is where I actually recommend using tape, is if you're going to load your magazines with different type of ammo. Now, there is no set rules when it comes to loading magazines with different types of ammo, how you should mark them with tape. You could also maybe use paint, but I would stick with tape when it comes to something like that, because the tape is temporary, it can be easily taken off. Now, just to give an example here, say you got 2 magazines loaded with M855 green tips. Maybe you're going to want to mark those magazines with green tape. Say this one here, we'll say it's just Full Metal Jacket spear point. I might mark this magazine with yellow duct tape or electrical tape. You can use either one. And then we'll say this one here, I got loaded with spear ballistic tips. And from what I've seen, the spear ballistic tips in 223 is red. So maybe I'll wrap this with some red tape towards the bottom, which is one reason why I kept the mark up here towards the center, just in case I ever want to do or need to do something like that. And then, like, if you're going to use, maybe you got training rounds or blanks, you can mark those mags with blue tape. There really is no set standard, and when it comes down to it, that's really up to you, the person who's going to tape it, because realistically everything is based on what works for you. I'm just telling you what works for me. Now, for me, when it comes to taping the mags, there's no point. The only thing I shoot out of my AR-15 is M855 green tips. So I'm not going to have a mixed grab bag of ammo. And even if I do get away from M855 green tips and maybe go to, 55 grain spear point Full Metal Jacket, I'm going to use all the same ammo. And that's even the same case, like if I would go to a ballistic tip, I'm just going to use all the same ammo. So there's no, you know, mixed grab bag of stuff here on what ammo am I loading into my gun. But if you do carry a mixed load of ammunition, yeah, definitely I would recommend you tape your magazines in some kind of system that you know what you're loading into your firearm before you load that magazine. Because honestly, in a home defense situation, I would probably prefer using ballistic tips over green tips, because green tips are probably going to more than likely over penetrate, where the ballistic tip is designed in a way that when it does hit target, the tip of the round actually forces the round to expand and actually leave a bigger wound channel. But honestly, green tips do pretty good when it comes to that in itself. Anyway, folks, I really think that's it when it comes to taping magazines and sharing any information. You know, knowledge is power, so the more information I can share with you, probably the better. But if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, or insults, there is a comment section down below on my YouTube channel. Don't be afraid to use the comment section, especially if you have a question or if you'd like more information than I gave here. I mean, I really think in general terms I've covered it, but I definitely recommend, highly recommend, that you mark your magazines. And realistically, folks, I think this is going to wrap the video up at that. Hopefully you all enjoy it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and hopefully I'll see you again for the next video. Have yourself a wonderful day.